Starliner Media. Starliner Media presents Music Night at the Majestic with your host, Michael Boswell.
All right, it's time once again for Music Night at the Majestic, and with us tonight, Carmine Appice. Carmine, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you, man. Good to be back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's always fun talking with you. Now, the first time you were on, we went through so much stuff that we ran out of time to get to the viewer questions. So that's what we'll start out with this time around.
Okay.
And first up, Tim in Illinois wants to know, how did Beck, Bogert, Appice form?
Well, I mean, it started way back in '69 when Vanilla Fudge was doing a Coca-Cola commercial, an audio. And we had Jeff Beck Group and Vanilla Fudge and Led Zeppelin, and we all had the same attorney. So our guitar player got sick, Vince Martell, so they asked Jeff to fill in for him. And Jeff wasn't that big yet. You know, he was just new coming out with his Jeff Beck Group. And so he played with us on the Coke commercial. And so when me and Tim played with him, you know, he loved me and Tim as a rhythm section, as he told us that. And we played with him, and that kind of planted the seed in there, you know. And then it was like 1969, we played a gig with Jeff Beck Group opening up for Vanilla Fudge in New York. And what happened was Led Zeppelin went up and jammed with them. And then John Bonham came back and told me later that Jeff Beck really wanted to put a band together with us, and he gave me Jeff's phone number, you know. And so that was '69. And then, you know, we were going to put a band together with me, Jeff, Tim, and Rod Stewart, and that was going to be Cactus, 1970. And just as Jeff was going to come over to work on the deal, he got in a car wreck. And 18 months later, he surfaced, you know. So me and Tim had broken up Vanilla Fudge and said, hey, well, we don't want to just, you know, do nothing for 18 months. So we put Cactus together without Jeff. And Rod didn't want to play with Jeff anyway at the time, which they had some disagreements. So we did Cactus. And then while we were doing Cactus, we got a note from Jeff's roadie, who I knew. And he said that Jeff really wanted to play with me and Tim still. So little by little, it was the summer of '72, I believe. Jeff was going to do an American tour, and he wanted me and Tim to play with him in that Jeff Beck Group. So we did the Jeff Beck Group tour that summer, and then we did Cactus shows as well that summer. So it was like, you know, we do like 3 weeks with Jeff, and then we do, you know, 2 weeks with Cactus, and then 3 weeks with Jeff. And then in October of that year, '72, we did another tour of America. It was Jeff Beck Group featuring Jeff, Tim, and me. And then after that tour, we went in the studio. We got a record deal on Epic. We went in the studio, and we recorded the first BBA record. And then that came out in like April or May of '73. And then we started touring with that. And that was Beck, Bogert, and Appice. So we sort of gradually built into it. You know,
Gotcha. Now, how did the version of Superstition that you guys did come about?
Well, Stevie Wonder wrote that song for Jeff for playing on his Talking Book album, and he wasn't supposed to release it, but he did a demo that he sent to Jeff, and we did it and rockified it, and but that demo had different lyrics, right? So we had different lyrics. And then I guess Motown heard Superstition and said to Stevie, this is the #1 record. What are you giving it away for? So then they released it immediately, and he changed the lyrics on it. And they released it and went to #1. So by the time we released our version, it was like a cover, but it wasn't a cover. It had different lyrics, you know? So it was we were kind of pissed off that he released it and went to #1 because, you know, the song was written for Jeff and BBA, you know.
It's a great song. It's a great record.
Yeah, great song.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you mentioned Cactus. We had a question from Joey in North Carolina. He wants to know how you felt about Cream magazine calling Cactus the American Led Zeppelin.
Well, back in those days, it was fine, because Led Zeppelin were the new cool band, getting big in 1970. They were only out for a year and a half, and they were very big at the time. And for them to call us the new Led Zeppelin was fine. And especially the fact that, Led Zeppelin opened up for Vanilla Fudge on their very first gig and a bunch of gigs following that. And we were involved with them. I helped John Bonham get his Ludwig endorsement with the big drums that were like mine. And, that story is, a historical story. And, so I didn't mind it, Now it's funny. Now it's funny because, American Led Zeppelin, Led Zeppelin was so huge. So now it's even better when they call us that,
Right. Exactly. I'll tell you what, moving on, Jana in Missouri asked, did Carmine ever get to talk to Richie Blackmore about Vanilla Fudge's influence on Deep Purple?
Oh, totally. Yeah. And not only Richie Blackmore, all the guys, John Lord, Ian Pace, Ian Gillan, all of them, Roger Glover. And it was also, when Richie started Rainbow, he asked me to join Rainbow. And I couldn't do it because I had this group KGB. In those days, when you had major label deals, you weren't allowed to jump ship and just play with anybody else like you can do today, because nobody's signed to the labels exclusively anymore. It's album by album. And it was a drag because they got Cozy Powell because I couldn't do it. And then, when we couldn't do the Jeff Beck thing, Jeff got Cozy Powell. So when I started seeing Cozy, I said, what are you, my professional replacement or what? And so yeah, I definitely talked to Richie about the influence.
Yeah. Yeah, well, good deal. I'll tell you what, moving on here, Woody in Illinois wants to know how you came to play on Pink Floyd's Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Well, that was a weird one because one day back in the day, in the 80s, you had the phone answer machines, and I get this call and it says, hey, Carmine, how you doing? This is Bob Ezra, and I'm producing a band that's just screaming for Carmine drum fills. Give me a call. I said, okay. So I called him and I said, cool. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Good. So who's the band? He said, Pink Floyd. I said, Pink Floyd? I said, where's Nick? Because, we knew these guys from the old days. And he said, oh, Nick will be there, but he's been racing his Ferraris and his calluses are soft and the band wants some new energy. And this song is just right up your alley. It's screaming for your drum fills. I said, oh, okay. So I went down to meet them and we worked out, a day to get there. And my roadie brought my drums there and we recorded so many different things. Nick was there, and David Gilmour was there. The keyboard player was there, and Trevor, the bass player. What's his name? Anyway, I forgot.
Yeah, him.
Oh, Tony Levin.
Yeah,
Tony Levin was there, and I was in there playing, and they filled up. It was taped. 124 track was filled up with. They had the song on a 4-track, and I played to that, and they filled up a 24-track with my drums, and another 24-track. They filled up like 4 or 5. They're like 30 minutes each. I kept playing the song. After like 10, 12 hours of playing the song, my ears started going. So Bob Ezrin said, "Well, put some tissue paper in your ear because the top end is what's giving you a headache, and you'll hear it better." So I did that. From then on, I did that when I was recording. But after it was done, I kept calling Bob and saying, well, because you had to put all these takes together. What's it sound like? He says, well, so far it's wonderful. Give me a call in a couple of weeks. Amazing was the next word. Then the next one is fantastic. And I'm going, come on, dude, I'd like to hear this thing already. So I kept getting these one-word answers from him, on the phone. And finally, I was up in Canada, and it's been the summertime of that year or the next year, and I was doing this movie, Black Roses. That was a heavy metal movie. And then I heard the Pink Floyd album was released. I said, "You're kidding me. I never even heard this track." So, in Canada, you can go downstairs underground. They have all these malls because it gets so cold up there in the winter. You go to the mall underneath the ground. So I went down there. It was a record store in those days. I went in and I bought the cassette, right? And I had the Walkman, and I went immediately to that track, and I heard the drum part for the first time like that,
Wow.
And I was blown away. I said, "Wow, kick my ass," And then I got the gold and the platinum record, and I could have got 5 platinum records. I could still do it, but I have nowhere to put it. Over there I got you can see that one?
Yeah.
That's my 5 platinum for Rod Stewart in Canada, and there's a BBA gold and a Vanilla Fudge gold. I could have got 5 platinum records or more just from America, and then he could have got from all these other countries. But I got walls full of them, and I got nowhere to put them. And my wife won't let me put them in the house. So they're all in my studio in a house in Florida.
That's it, just to add on to the studio.
Huh?
You'll just have to add on to the studio, make more room.
Yeah, I'll have to do an extension on the studio to get all the Floyd records, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it happened.
Yeah. So you mentioned Nick Mason and his penchant for Ferraris.
Yeah.
That actually takes us to a question from Pete in Wisconsin, who asks, "I've read that you're a car guy and have owned an XKE and a Pantera. What else have you owned through the years?"
Oh, man, I had great cars. When I was 17, I bought a brand new 1964 Chevy Super Sport 327 4-speed, and then I built it. I put cams in it and big carburetors and big manifold and new heads on the car, 411 rear, and I used to race it. I ruined the total warranty. Didn't even know about a warranty when I was 17,
Yeah.
So then after I made it with Vanilla Fudge, after that car, I got a 67 Chevy Super Sport automatic 283 with a 2-barrel. If you know anything about cars, that's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we made it with Vanilla Fudge, I got a 1969 XKE. Then I bought a car from Gene Cornish of the Rascals, which was a 1961 Jaguar Mark 9. It looked like a big old white Rolls Royce. I used to call it the White Whale because it looked like a big white whale, And then I traded the XKE in for a 72 Pantera. So I had that for a while. And then I had a 66 Corvette convertible with that. And that was a 348, I think was the engine in that. And then I moved to California, so I sold the Vet for cheap. I mean, unbelievable. That Vet's worth 60 grand, 70 grand now.
Oh, yeah.
I think I sold it for 4 or 5 grand back in 75, And then I brought the Pantera and the Jag to LA with me. And then at one point I had the Jag, the Pantera, and I bought a 1956 Austin Healey 104, which had a window to go down, that you had to wear goggles, and I had that, and I had this champagne Volkswagen, which was a special edition Volkswagen convertible. It was white on white on white. Everything was white on the car.
Okay.
And then I got divorced, and I lost the Volkswagen and the 56 Austin Healey. And I had the Jaguar and the Pantera for 40 years, really. And then I traded, that's crazy, I'm into real estate too. I traded the Jaguar, the big white whale, for a townhouse in Memphis. So I still have the townhouse, and my partner has the white whale. He fixed it all up. He renovated it, and he rents it out for weddings now. It's just like a limo. And then the Pantera I sold around 2011 or 12 to a guy in the Midwest. And then I bought a 2001 XKR Jaguar supercharged. And I had that for a few years. And then in 2016, I bought a 2013 Maserati GT. But I wanted to keep the Jaguar, but I had no more room in the garage because my wife had a Porsche. We had we were in Connecticut at the time. We had a Porsche, we had the Jaguar, and we had an SUV. And, you know, Connecticut, you get winters, so you can't leave a car outside.
Right.
So I sold that to my partner in Memphis again. And this time I needed a roof on one of my properties. So he fixed the roof and gave me some cash, and I gave him the car. He was a car guy as well.
Uh-huh.
And then we moved to Florida. So we got a whole slew of new cars. I had the GT Maserati. My wife sold her Porsche, and she got a brand new Z, right? And then we got an SUV. And then I just got myself recently, a few months ago, a 2018 F-Type Jaguar, 4-cylinder supercharged, right? So
nice handling car.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car. So that's pretty much all of them.
Yeah. Well, tell me this. You mentioned having the 64 SS with a 327.
Yeah.
Is it more fun to have one where you modify it and build it yourself the way you want it, or to get like the Pantera, which you probably didn't mod anything?
Well, I didn't mod anything, but I fixed it. One time I had to put a water pump in it, and that was like a nightmare because you had to take the seats out, take out the back, and when you're sitting in the car, the harmonic balance and the pulleys are right there, right next to you.
I was going to say the joy of mid-engine.
Oh my God. It was the most horrific thing I've ever done on a car. I think after that, I never did anything on that car anymore. And I never did anything on any of the cars anymore.
that was enough to say, okay, I'm done.
That was enough. I mean, I did, just minor stuff on the Pantera, like change the gaskets on the oil, what do you call them? Not the oil pan, the valve cover gasket, the valve cover gasket, stuff like that. But when I was a kid, I was 17 when we did all this work. I had this guy named Charlie. I used to call him Charlie the Tuner, and he used to come over, and we put I remember we put a whole new clutch in that 64 Chevy. And when we were done, we did it in my driveway in Brooklyn. We had it up on jacks and all that, and, underneath the car. With cardboard underneath the car, when we finished it, put it all back together, and we pulled the car out, there were 2 bolts or a nut and a bolt. I said, "What is this?" So I don't know. I guess we forgot to put it in. So I was expecting it to blow up at any minute,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did a lot of work on that. The Corvette, I didn't do any work on. It was an automatic. It wasn't even a 4-speed.
Yeah.
And as I said, the Jaguar I never touched because they were like too moody, But I never had a problem. Yeah, when I did have a problem with the XKR, I had a warranty on it, so I would just take it back to. It was an external, not the dealer warranty. One of those warranties you pay $50 a month,
right.
An external warranty, and I got one of those. And so anytime that had a problem, I would do that,
Yeah. Tell me this, Carmine. Out of everything that you've owned, what's your favorite and what's the one you miss not having anymore?
The car?
Yeah.
I think the favorite I own is the F-Type Jag, actually.
Yeah.
Because it handles unbelievable, and it's small, and it's 4-cylinder, and it's a bit of a monster.
It's a great looking car too.
Unbelievably it looks like an Aston Martin a bit, an Aston Martin and a Maserati. That's what it looks like. The back of an Aston Martin, the front of a Maserati. I mean, the Maserati's awesome too, but the Maserati doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Like as an older man, I like all the bells and whistles.
You want some convenience these days.
Yeah, I like the fact that I get in and my Bluetooth picks up right there. I mean, I could be like 25, 30 feet away talking in my garage to somebody with my headset, Bluetooth headset. All of a sudden, it goes away, and I hear it. Hold on. And I hear it in the car. I hear whoever I'm talking in the car. I go, "What's going on?" It picks up in the car. Now I got an app. I could start the car. I'm in New York now. I could start my car from New York. If I want to start it. But, whenever I go out of town, I always put them on the trickle chargers,
Right.
But because it has all those bells and whistles as an older man, and it's like I really like it. Maserati is awesome. More see the difference is F-Type Jag is more like a sports car,
Right.
where the GT is like a luxury sports car. It's got back seats, it's got more cushioned seats, bigger seats, bigger interior.
It's a touring car.
Yeah, it's a touring car. And the F-Type is really like a sports car. So what I do now is I drive 5 days. I drive one, then I pull it out, pull the other one, because I have to back one in the corner of the garage. It's a 4-car garage, but I can't get 4 cars straight, and be able to pull them all out. So I back one in and I pull that one out. And this one's next to it. And then I drive this one for 5 days and I pull it out. I pull the other one out and I back the other one in. So I get to drive both experiences,
Yeah. Yeah, good deal.
I love cars. I love cars. I just went to see that movie, the F9, Fast and Furious 9. Useless movie. I mean, the cars in it were great cars, but the concept was so stupid. I mean, anywhere they go in the world, they're in the middle of the jungle and they got a Dodge Charger and a Malibu, all souped up and all these souped up. I'm like, where do you get these things in the middle of the jungle?
Yeah, there's a rocket-powered Fiero in there too, isn't it?
Yeah, and they just go like next scene they're in London. They got all these great cars in London. Then they're in Paris. I go, come on, dudes. I mean, I get it. It's Fast and Furious, but let's have a bit of a story.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, tell me this were unbelievable. The tricks and all that crap they were doing with it. Cars.
Oh, the stunt work is incredible in those movies.
Unbelievable. But no story at all.
Well, tell me this: what is your favorite car movie?
Oh, I don't have a favorite car movie. I never really thought about it. I was like that one Bullet. I always thought that was a good movie.
Bullet's a great movie.
Yeah, it was realistic, actually. Maybe like the first Fast and the Furious was really good as well. Before they went into all this TCI crap, they had to stage these real crashes and stuff. But I would say that's probably the two that I remember offhand.
Yeah. Well, I still find myself watching some of the old 70s ones, like Vanishing Point.
Yeah, Vanishing Point was good too.
Yeah, Gumball Rally.
Yeah, Gumball. I was thinking about the one that was a racing one, but I have a friend here in Florida that he was a finance guy. He retired at 50 and opened up a tire and exotic car repair place in Florida. And you go to his house, he's got like a McLaren, he's got one of those Mercedes that with the gull wing doors,
Okay. The 300 SL?
Big, powerful one. He's got a racing Porsche. He's got a Cadillac station wagon with 775 horsepower. He's got another Porsche and then another racing Porsche. And he goes around racing. He'll take the McLaren on like one of these like gumball rallies. He start in Colorado back to Florida or something, And it was great. And so last year I needed every year I got to change the oil on the Maserati. When I did it in Connecticut, it was like $700-800 every time you do that. He said, "Yeah, I can do it in my shop." How much? $250. I said, "You got it."
It's worth driving down there for.
Yeah, so he comes and picks it up. He picked it up at my house, drove it down to his shop because he had to drive there anyway. Changed the oil, checked everything, and brought it back. It was actually $300 with the filter.
You can't beat that.
That's all good. And this F-Type, it said 16,000 miles for an oil change or once a year. I said, "Wow, that's awesome."
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it wasn't, of course, it's a matter of perspective, but it wasn't all that long ago when Kendall, broke ground when they could go, their oil was good for 2,000 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I think you and I could probably talk cars all day, but since it is music night, not car night at the Majestic, we probably get back to some of the viewer questions here. And you mentioned him earlier, but Annette in Indiana wants to know how you came to play with Rod Stewart.
Well, I knew Rod. I knew him from the Jeff Beck group days. And we were friends, and I knew him from the fact that we, with Cactus, ended up playing with Rod and the Faces for like 30 shows. And we played the Garden, we played all the big venues. And so we were like, friends. And his tour manager for the Faces was a guy named Pete Buckland. So we got to know him. We used to wreck hotel rooms together and did a lot of crazy stuff together. So one day I was in LA. I'd moved to LA. I moved there to join a group called KGB with Mike Bloomfield and Rick Gretsch. And when that was sort of not really happening, we were doing a second album with different members. And that was the time when Richie Blackmore asked me to join. It was during the first album. So now we're doing the second album. We delivered the second album. So my deal was up with them. And so I was driving around. My friend Sandy Gennaro is a drummer. He was a car guy as well. He had, I forgot what he had, like an MG or something like that, sports car. And he came, we saw him on the street. And I said, "Hey, Sandy, how you doing?" "Good." "What's up?" He goes, "I just auditioned for Rod Stewart," he said. I said, "Oh, so what happened? Did you get it?" He goes, "No, I didn't get it." He said, "You should call him." I said, "Well, who do you got to call?" So he gives me his name. It was Pete Buckland, that tour manager. I said, "Oh, wow." So I called Pete, and I said, "Hey, Pete, it's Carmine Appice. What's up?" At the time, I was Appice, He goes, I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Oh," I said, "I heard Rod's looking for a drummer, and you don't call me?" He says, "You're always busy." I said, "Well, I'm not busy now. I'd love to check it out, So he said, "I'll call you back." So he called Rod, who was in London, and said, I was interested in doing it. He said, Rod said, "Have Carmine go to my house and check out the band." So it was like almost me auditioning the band.
Mm-hmm.
He called me and told me that. I said, "Okay." So knowing that I was going to Rod Stewart's house, I said, "Let me take a cool car. I'll take the Pantera." So I took the Pantera and I pull up to these huge, beautiful house with huge gates and everything. Thinking to myself, wow, I didn't know Rod made this kind of money. It was in Beverly Hills. I mean, he lived next door to Gregory Peck,
You know what? You mentioned that in the first,
first time. Yeah. So I pull in there, and there was all the guys in the band. Did we talk about this before?
The only thing that we talked about, Carmine, was you mentioned that at a show, Gregory Peck came up and about giving the book to Fred Astaire.
Yeah. So now, so I go in there now. In '74, after BBA broke up, I went to England. I hung out with Jeff Beck for 3 months. We were working on new songs, and it was either going to be a Beck album or a Beck Appice album. And it ended up being a Beck album, Blow by Blow, with George Martin producing. So I played on it. I played on 5-6 songs. We rehearsed 5 or 6 songs or more. And then we couldn't work out a deal with Epic Records and Jeff Beck and his manager. So I was blown off the album, right? But while I was there, I did a show with John Lord and Ian Pace and Jim Cregan, who was the band member of Rod Stewart. And on the Blow by Blow record was Phil Chen, the bass player. So I knew Phil and I knew Jim Cregan from being over in England for 3 months. And I realized lately I never got paid for any of that session. I said, "Oh wow, I didn't even think about it. Hey, okay, well, how about paying me for work I did?"
Right.
But anyway, that's long gone. And so when I went to Rod's house, I saw Phil Chen and Jim Cregan. I said, "Oh wow, I realize you guys are in the band. Cool." Then I met this other guy, Gary Granger, Billy Peake, and John Jarvis. And so we had a play, and it sounded great. So Pete says, "So what do you think?" I said, "Man, it sounds great. I'd love to do it." So he said, "Well, Rod's coming back in a couple of days. Come on back up to the house. I'll call you. We'll set a time." So he called me, set a time. Again, I take the Pantera up there because I know Rod has Lamborghinis and Mercedes and all these cool cars. So I pull up, and then we have a play with Rod. And, the first day I went to the house, it was like a resort. Everybody's staying at the house. And they're out there playing paddle tennis. They're in their bathing suits right next to the pool. They have a pool house, and the garage was a 6-car garage where they had the gear set up. and all the cars were out in the circular driveway. You know, it was like a round driveway. And so then Rod comes in and we get in, we start playing, and it sounded amazing. You know, it sounded really kick ass, you know, and it was like Cactus, you know. So Rod come up and said, look, just play. If you're into doing it, just play like you did in Cactus. And I know you got lots of fans out there. So you'll do a drum solo every night. And, you know, if you want it, you got it. I said, yeah, let's do it. That was it. And then later on, he said, you know, when we were rehearsing, he goes, you know, we're going to be playing in front of thousands of people. I'm going to say, Carmine, whatever, on drums. So what name should I say? You got like 5 different people. Or Appice, 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 you know. I said, well, most people call me Appice, and I correct them. He said, well, why don't we go with that? So we did that, Carmine Appice. So every night, Carmine Appice on drums, you know. And then from then on, I was Carmine Appice. Ludwig did an ad. Everyone wants a piece of Appice. It was in all the magazines in the world, you know, the rock magazines, and that's when I changed my name, and that's when I joined Rod.
Mm-hmm. That's a
now
great story.
there's a new box set coming out, or it's out now. It's 75 to 79. So there's 4 albums. I'm on 2 of the albums, and there's 9 new tracks, bonus tracks. I'm on 8 of the 9. You know,
Wow.
and again, I'm trying to get paid for those because we never were paid for those, and not necessarily that I need the money to do it, but a couple of guys in the band are ill in Rod's band. And I was talking to Jim Cregan, and I said, well, let's try and see if we can get paid, everybody paid. So, you know, those guys really need the money, you know?
Right. Well, in that time with Rod, you co-wrote a couple of monster hits.
Yeah.
So tell us about Do You Think I'm Sexy? I'm guessing that started out different than it wound up.
Totally. Did you read my book?
Honestly, no.
Well, you should read my book because that's what you said. That's what happened. Yeah, I mean, Rod was into, you know, whatever was happening on the charts. So Missing You from Stones was #1. He said, I need a song like that. So I went back and I had a keyboard and a drum machine. I put down my ideas, and I went to my buddy Dwayne Hitchings' house, which he had like an 8-track studio. So he was a keyboard player, and he made my ideas sound good. He put his own ideas in, and we presented it as a, you know, it sounded like a song. And Rod liked it. When we first cut it, we had 3 guitars, bass, drums, and Dwayne, and it was really rock. You know, we filled up the 24-track. It was kick-ass. And then Tom Dowd added another 24-track, and we put a percussionist on it, put David Foster on it, put some girls singing the line. Originally, it was just a synthesizer doing it. Now we put a full orchestra doing it. You know, and when you do all that, everything shrinks, the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So the big fat drum sound we had and the big fat guitar sounds we had shrunk down to what we got on the single. That was his vision, you know, and we couldn't complain. We did start complaining when we first heard the mix. We said, man, it used to sound so big and fat and rock and roll. Now it sounds a bit disco-y, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It went to #1 in most countries, so we couldn't complain.
It was a monster.
Couldn't complain. It's the biggest song he ever had.
Yeah. Now tell me this: are there any copies of the original mix?
There is, but not with Rod. I was producing a Japanese female singer at the time, so we took the original version, which, you know, we went through a lot of different versions before we came to the one that we actually set upon, where that's the one we built all this, you know, it turned into a disco song. The other versions were really heavy rock versions. So I took that heavy rock version and we rewrote a whole different melody line and hook line and lyrics over that and released it in Japan. And it was this Japanese singer singing English, and I had to have my friend Jim Diamond, who was a singer from Scotland, was helping her with the English sing it, you know, but it did well in Japan. And that was the other version. And I don't have a copy of that anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I must
Yeah, 'cause
have it somewhere. I have it somewhere on a cassette, but I don't even know where.
Yeah. Now, see, I'd love to hear the original mix with Rod.
Yeah. Well, there was never really original mix with Rod with that.
Yeah.
Because by the time Rod did the vocal, it had everything on it. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
It still worked out okay.
on these 8 tracks that are on this new box set, you can tell they weren't really finished, because I heard a couple of cracks in Rod's voice a couple of times in one song, and you could tell there was a space for a guitar solo that's not there, so they just Warner Brothers just took whatever was in the can
and
released it on this box set as bonus tracks.
Yeah.
But I guess Rod must have had to approve it though. So I'm going to talk to him about it when I see him next week.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm going to ask him if he approved these. Just curious,
Right. Well, stuff like that is neat because it kind of gives you a glimpse into the inner workings of what was going on at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's like I'm releasing a box set of Guitar Zeus in October. With I got new tracks with Tommy Thayer from Kiss, and I got Derek Sherinian from Sons of Apollo playing keyboard like a guitar.
Okay.
And my band Kodiak that has a great young guitar player. I put him on there. Plus, I got Bumblefoot and a few other tracks. But what we also put on is some bonus tracks, which were just the tracks some of them without vocal and no lead guitar, and some with just a vocal with no lead guitar, so that any guitar players can play along with us.
Okay.
And just as bonus tracks, So I guess the bonus track thing is fun for people. I mean, it's actually fun for me to listen to it. I took it off a DAT that I had,
Oh, wow.
And I said, wow, how cool. Just the trio sounds great. Me, Tony Franklin, and Kelly Keeling playing guitar. So it sounds awesome. It was done analog to tape. The analog tape just sounds great.
Yeah, there's a warmth to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, we got this new Vanilla Fudge song coming out. It's "Stop in the Name of Love" with the original band. Tim Bogert's on the very last recording he's ever done. It's a Supreme song. So it's like one circle. We started here with "You Keep Me Hanging On," went through all the thing, and the last thing Tim did with the band as the original band was today, 54 years later, "Stop in the Name of Love," the Supreme song that we did, and we just mastered it to analog and back. We just finished the video, and the video is dedicated to Tim, the tribute to Tim, and it's a great thing. So it's going to be released September 6th. Pre-orders of the single, and the single is going to have, if they get the vinyl printed in time, A side is going to be the song, B side is going to be me, Mark, and Vinny talking about Tim, stories about Tim and the band on the B side. And if it isn't ready, we'll do it on a CD, and then release the vinyl later when it is ready. And then we have fall tours being planned now, so everything's going to be announced in the next few weeks. And August 19th, the pre-orders. August 27th, Tim's birthday, is going to be like pre-orders for special bundles, of the single, maybe a T-shirt or a poster of the album cover, which is a classic picture of the band done in a cartoon form, and the video is awesome. It's just all from the past. Some of the TV shows and all. You remember the Fillmore lights, the oil lights?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those, I forgot what they're called, the Fillmore Pig Light Show, whatever they are. That's all over the backdrop of the video. Inserted in there is, bits of different TV shows we did when we were happening on TV, and then different posters, the Who and Vanilla Fudge, the Cream and Vanilla Fudge, Jimi Hendrix Vanilla Fudge with Led Zeppelin open, Vanilla Fudge with Moody Blues opening, stuff like that. Bee Gees in the Vanilla Fudge, just all this classic stuff and classic magazine articles where you see pictures of us backstage all sweaty and it's
Mhm.
live on stage, photo. I mean, it's really cool. Really a cool video that goes along with the song. So that
Tell me this, Carmine, if somebody would have told you when the song was out originally, that 54 years later, that you would have this version coming out and all the things
well,
with
it's a
it.
different song.
Okay.
It's a different song. It's a Supreme song, "Stop in the Name of Love."
Okay, as opposed to Keep Me Hanging
Versus
On.
"You Keep Me Hanging On," but it sounds similar.
Yeah, I
Same
should say,
kind of power and same kind of emotion. And every Stein sings the hell out of it, and the backgrounds are still the same. And because it's Tim there, the rhythm section is really strong and powerful, and Vinny's playing what he does, and it just sounds like Vanilla Fudge. And it doesn't sound like anybody else, and it's great.
good deal.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna guess that there's info on your website about all this stuff.
Not yet, because we just finished it. So
Okay.
now we're just getting all the stuff together, the credits for the album cover, all that stuff. Yesterday we finalized the video. I'm waiting for Mark Stein's approval, actually, and then it's finalized. And the manager likes it. I like it. Vinny liked it. The director likes it. The producer of the song likes it. I mean, I produced the song with Pat Regan. And we're all in agreement. This video looks awesome. And so once we get all the pieces together, then we'll put it up. Like we'll put it up when the label Golden Robot Records announces it, then we'll put it up on the websites, because it doesn't say pay to put it up now because there's nothing there.
Right.
It's
all right. Good deal. Well, tell you what, Carmine, I know we're getting to our time here, so don't want to overstep that with you.
Okay. And and I do the Facebook too, like my Carmine Appice official. I just put my new look up on the Facebook, and I asked people, what do you think? I got 1,200 plus comments. For me, that's a lot. And
yeah.
When I first put it up, it shocked everybody. I had 3,700 comments. It was like, whoa. But then now it's grown in, and and I kind of learned how to comb it, and I like it actually. Now I could be cast in a mafia movie as a mafia guy.
There you go. Because you don't have enough going on.
No, exactly. But, I just like to have fun, create. I just wrote some Christian music that we're gonna get out, and I did an instrumental album I probably told you about already, and that's coming out. The Cactus record's out, and we're right in the middle of a King Cobra record. And it's amazing that I can do it. I did it all from my studio, and like the drums for this new Fudge thing I did in my studio, and a lot of the production, that we did, I did it in my studio, with Pat Regan, going back and forth, sending him parts he needs from different sessions. And, and I really learned how to be an engineer somewhat, I mean, not fully, but enough to do what I need to do,
Right.
And like right now, I just, before I talked to you, I was talking to Sweetwater, which is, where you buy equipment. I was talking to a tech because I got this thing here, right, which is an input for the microphone. So I got Cubase put on my laptop now. So like I'm working on this Christian song that needs some backgrounds. So I'm going to do some backgrounds. I'm going to get my wife to sing and add more to make it sound real gospel-y,
Very nice.
And I can do that here in the office, with the mic. I can put two mics in if I want, with two different tracks.
Technology is a wonderful thing when it works.
I'm learning how to, it's unbelievable. I mean, the whole Vanilla Fudge record that we're putting out was done by the internet. Okay. And we went in the studio and played it all together. And then we found out when we put Tim on it last January, before he passed away, January 2020, that the drums needed to be redone because there was leakage all over it. So at the time I said, well, I'll have to go into a studio to do it. And then we moved to Florida. I put a studio in. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to put drums on that Fudge track. I did it, and it sounded great. And then I sent it to the manager, and I said, well, we fixed the drums. Now what we got to do is put all the parts together and mix it.
Mm-hmm.
But the parts together was a nightmare because I had my sessions with Tim with a mix that we sent to the engineer who was Jorgen, the government mules bass player.
Okay.
We did it at his studio in LA. We brought Tim in there, and he's the one that said the drums have too much leakage on it. So I said, all right, we'll do new drums. So now I got new drums. So I sent it back to him. He lined it up more, because he had the click over there. Then he sent it back to me. And then the guy in the studio in New Jersey sent all the tracks to my engineer, Pat Regan. And there was so many tracks. It was 200 tracks, because it was different takes. And they never did the combines that you normally do before you send it to somebody. So he had that. And then Vinny went into the studio in New Jersey to do some guitars. I asked him to do 3 or 4 tracks, and he sent 50 tracks. So we had to rebuild all this stuff, put it all together.
Uh-huh.
So considering what we went through, and you hear it sounds like we're in the same room playing together, and it kicks ass. It really does. But this was the most nightmarish production I've ever done, and Pat Regan, my engineer, has ever done. And he's done Blackmore, and he's done Mr. Big and Kiss, and he mixed my Guitar Zeus records. He's done everything, and my Rated X record, and he did that. And he's like, I've never had anything like this. And you have to rebuild the whole track, all done by the internet.
Oh man,
yeah.
So,
great.
The fact that the process.
Now it's just now it's done. Sounds great. Makes you feel good.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the fact that the process could be, it require all that effort, but and have it done, so differently than normal, and have it come out sounding like you guys were all together in the studio playing it, is amazing.
It is amazing, really amazing, and I love the track. I love the performance. And Mark Stein's voice is just superb. So emotional, just like Hanging On, and they're saying if this does well, they want to do like an EP of 4 more Supreme songs, which I've already have 2 arrangements of 2 Supreme songs on my iPad. That's how I start writing stuff. I have an iPad that has drums, keyboard, and everything, and I play with my fingers, and because I majored in music in high school, and I sang doo-wop all my life and Vanilla Fudge and vocals all my life, I'm able to play enough bass, guitar, and keyboard and drums with my fingers on the iPad and create tracks. I created tracks for King Cobra records. I create these gospel tracks I'm writing. I wrote on the iPad, and so I wrote these 2 arrangements. I know one was Reflections by the Supremes.
Mm-hmm.
Totally changed it to some other entity. And there was another one. I forgot the other one I did. And so if we do that, I'm hoping to get Mark Stein to come to my house in Florida. He lives 40 minutes away, and he can plug his B3, his portable B3 into my system, and we could arrange stuff right there and put stuff down right there,
That'd be very cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you mentioned doo-wop. Who was your biggest doo-wop influences or artists you gravitated to?
All of them. I got my vibrato from Ronnie Spector. Be my baby. Be my baby. That. I saw her at the Brooklyn Paramount with the Ronettes. Left a big impression. But I liked them all. Frankie Lyman and Teenagers and the Cadillacs and the Moonglow. And when the Silhouette, that song Silhouette, and Gloria, but I don't even know who the artist is. Gloria, Gloria. It's not Cherries, blah, blah, blah.
Great
I
stuff.
sang it a lot better when I was younger. My voice is hoarse and from reflux, from being old. But I just saw Peter Noon the other day, and he was awesome. His voice was great. He gave me an app with the voice exercises. He said, do this every day, He said it'll strengthen your vocal muscles. So when I go back to Florida tomorrow, I'm going to start doing that. I don't want to do it here in the apartment in New York.
Yeah.
You know, I can go in my studio and feel free to do it. You know.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, what I love about Peter is that he is so enthusiastic.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what a fantastic show! Him and a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even a band, and he was such a great showman. You know, and it was the Cutting Room on a Sunday afternoon last week, and this week actually, beginning of the week, and you know, we're playing there with my brother on September 19th. And we've done that afternoon show. It's really a good time because, you know, it's a Sunday, so people are off. And, you know, it's not late, so people don't come because they got to go to work. It's like a 4 or 5 o'clock show. So they're home by 8 or 9 o'clock and they can go to sleep and go to work, you know?
Right.
And it was great. I mean, I saw him beforehand and I hadn't seen him in a while, but I know him since the 60s, you know? And, we had a good conversation. And afterwards, I went back and said, man, that was unbelievable. I said, I've never seen you like that. I always saw him with Herman's Hermits, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this was much better. You know, I said, your voice is so strong from the baritone way to top end falsetto. He says, yeah, I do these vocal exercises all the time. I said, oh, man, send me the app. So he sent me the app. And we're going to try and get him on our show, too, our Hanging and Banging show.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
He'd be a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but all right, Carmine, I know that you've got things to get to here, so we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. As always, everybody, I want to thank you for watching. Carmine, thank you for coming back, and everybody, have a good night.
See you next time. Ciao.
This has been Music Night at the Majestic with Michael Boswell. If you enjoyed this edition of Music Night at the Majestic, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and at musicnight.net. Music Night at the Majestic is a copyright production of Starliner Media. Any use of the accounts and descriptions of this program, its audio or visual content, without the express written consent of Starliner Media is prohibited. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you next time for Music Night at the Majestic. This is your announcer speaking. Starliner Media.